how did the role in CHiPS come about?
Well,
was there an audition process?
Yeah, no, I didn't have to, because I had started to become this acteur, right? And it's such a toxic, flirtatious affair. It is indeed. But, you know, you experience both sides of the love card, I will, in terms of admiration and employment and then abandonment and so on. So in my case, you know, I went to the Beverly Hills Music Academy, studied music, played piano. I used to play organ in a rock band. Louie helped me round in those songs back in the day, right? C, A minor, F, and G. And this old lady at Lois Hour said, "Hey, you look like Boy Next Door. Have you ever considered acting?" Right? I said, "Yeah, I did some in high school. You know, you don't do much in Wyoming, but I did a little, you know, plays and stuff." "Oh, would you like to come to class?" "No, can't afford them. You know, I'm trying to make a living." And so anyway, I took lessons, and she really liked me, let me study for free, and got me an agent, the Tony Kelman agency, a kids agency. Here I was then, I think around 20 or something. I looked like 15, right? And there was good and bad in that. And so I got an agent, then I started in Lassie, and then I started doing guest stars on all the episodic television. I did everything. Room 22, I worked with Anthony Quinn, major stars and stuff, right? And it was really rather intimidating as a kid from Wyoming. I'm with this guy that I watched on TV, right? Vic Morrow. Once I remember I was co-starring in a movie with him, and I thought, yeah, I used to watch Combat all the time as a kid. And anyway, everyone from James Colburn to Charlton Heston to Barbara Hershey to Farrah Fawcett, I got to work with all of them as a co-star, a really good role, not a little role, right? And directors started to use me without having to audition, which was always a compliment, right?
Yeah.
But it's such, you know, there's not any longevity, even though you've reached what is construed as a talent. That doesn't mean anything, right? You work so hard, and in my whole life with this learning thing is always trying to find layers to add to characters and to add little subtleties that aren't in the script and enhance the writer's intent of the script, to add some kind of depth to what is not there on screenplay. And it came across well, and I got a lot of roles because of Andy McLaughlin and other major directors. "Larry, you have this role, but I have to patronize the producer, so come in and read, but you already have it." I was so arrogant, sometimes I would come in and they'd say, "Read 37 and 56, scene 37, scene 56. "No, I will, but I'm going to read scene 17. "Well, that scene only has 5 lines in the elevator." "I know, but that's really what this movie's about, those 5 lines. They look at me like that. But that was how cocky I was, right? And confident. And so CHiPS producer comes to me, who saw me in a Y50 and said, "Hey, we would like you to star in this new television series called CHiPS." I said, "Well, send the script," right? I got to read the script. What a dumbass. So I would get the scripts and read them, and, you know, wallowing in that pomposity and analyze the script and the writer's intent. "No, I'm not doing this." "Why aren't you doing that?" "Well, there's a lot of police shows, and I'm not going to do a show like this. It's another cop show, this time on motorcycles." I mean, really? Who wrote this, right? And in retrospect, the writers, to me, is the key, right?
Right.
And so to make a long story short, like all prostitutes, they offer you enough money, and finally they buy you, right? So I did CHiPS. And I must say, you know, in retrospect, doing CHiPS was probably the most difficult role I've ever done in my life. And people would say, "Why is that? I mean, you read for some really major things, and your tests are off the charts. And why was CHiPS your hardest role? What are you talking about? You said 10-4 and, you know, every 5th page. I mean, get over yourself." As that's why it was so hard. There was nothing in my character, right? Ponch was the star of the series, and I was the straight guy walking around in the background. So, you know, I tried every little nuance to try to add charm and charisma and some kind of intellect, if you will, to a character that just wasn't written on the page. And it was a hard 5 years. I directed and produced during that time, but just because I was intellectually starved,